Welcome to the 17th chapter. Some months ago I was very unhappy with the team, but this January I am extremely happy, and I'll show you now why. First match of the month, a win in the league, second in a row of the league, with a very good performance from all the team, except substitute Babovic and Babacar. I played straight away Boy and Bafo and changed the right back, playing Manolev instead of Alberto Lora because of Manolev being faster. We won 3-2 in an away game, so they got back within a goal twice. Their goals were the second set pieces, a corner, which is one of the problems that the defense have been experiencing during this season, and I forgot to set the defensive positioning for set pieces in the match preparation during all the season, and I would still forget that until after the Malaga games. The fifth goal was in a counter-attack, but it was unlike the other counter-attack goals that we conceded in the past matches. This time, instead of the opposition player running clear of the defense to challenge the goalkeeper in a more or less easy one-on-one, the center-backs, Boy in this case, that had let him run behind at the start of the race, trying to mark him too tightly, recovered well in time to make it a problem, but this time it was Ivan Cuellar who positioned himself in a very poor way. He rushed forward too soon, and Jose Mari could simply set the step with the ball to an angle from which there was no goalkeeper to stop the ball. Otherwise, that would have not been a goal. It was a goalkeeper mistake rather than a problem with the defense. Second game of the month, the first leg of the Copa del Rey quarter-final. We got ahead during the second half of the match, and then we paid not having prepared the defending set pieces during the match preparation, and the two goals that Malaga scored came from set pieces. The next was the third win in the league in a row against Malaga at home. This time we had a much better match, getting dominance during the first hour of the match with two penalties in our favor that finally were scored, this time by Simone Zaza instead of missed by Muñiz. Then we paid again, not preparing the defense of set pieces, with a goal from Isco. In the last moment, Boy made his only mistake, missing an interception to a cross within the 6-yard box that allowed Juanmi to score the second goal, but it was already too late to threaten our advantage. In the second leg of the Copa del Rey, we lost 2-0 in a match that was not as bad as those statistics seem to show. Unless we got a good amount of chances, created a good amount of shots, only a few of them from long range. so we're not lucky enough to get any of the any into the net and not many on target. We paid two defensive mistakes during the start of the match. Just players letting their mark run off them to find space to shoot at goal. Then I finally remembered to set defensive set pieces in the match preparation, and this time we defended set pieces well. We set possession, but it was a two-half match. During the first half, we had most of the dominance of the match, more possession. The majority of our shots happened during that first half. In the second, we allowed them to come back into the match and get their shots and finish the match with a more or less level statistics. They had some good chances, but they missed. As you can notice in this screen, there was one more movement in the transfer market. We signed a new goalkeeper in substitution of Loris Karius, who wanted first team football, but he was not good enough. And we signed Michalis Sifakis, who went straight into the side and made a very good match with a couple of very good saves. In another away game, in which we had a better match that the stats seems to point, we finally had one match in which we were able to come back from behind. Espanyol got ahead with a goal by Stuani that came in regular play. A cross was picked by their striker, who shot the ball into the crossbar, and then the ball fell to Christian Stuani just in the 6-yard box. Nothing anybody could have done to stop that. But we dominated the game pretty much. We only got 8 shots total against Espanyol's 12, but most of our shots were from close range, and most of Espanyol's were from long range, because they didn't find barely any other chance to shoot from inside our area. And with the last match at home in the league, we got the 5th win straight in the league. We got ahead with a very good goal from Carmona, dribbling from the right wing towards the center and scoring after receiving the ball from deep from, I think it was Alex Serrano. Then we kept for a while banging at their goal, but couldn't take the chances we had. Kondogbia got us the first yellow card after being warned in the first half, just in the 44th minute. So at half the time I said he's tackling too hard, and it worked to get him sent off 2 minutes after resuming the match. Then we had a more or less long period of calm, in which we managed to get a good use of our superiority to keep the ball and prevent Sevilla from creating chances, beside one lucky that they had and missed. But then Asier del Horno was the man to be sent off with a second yellow card. Very high the pitch, a stupid foul that was not needed. Then we suffered heavily a great pressure from Sevilla, who had several chances from close range and several counter-attack chances too. This time caused because the high pressing game that we were using when being 11 against 10 had made our players tired, and on top of that, because of the congestion of matches of the month, Boye was tired, and I had to feed Ivan Hernandez in his place, who is not as fast. But we managed to hold on to the early goal we had and won against Sevilla, a very good result. And that result just brings up the table up to the 11th position with one game in hand, compared to many of the teams ahead and behind. If we were to win the game in hand, that sadly can easily be the one against Real Madrid, and I think it is the one against Real Madrid. The other game in hand wasn't against Getafe, but against Espanyol. We could be around the 8th position at this point. However, there's a 7 point between the 30 points and the 6th place, 8 points, between winning the position we had, winning one more game, and the points needed to be with the teams that are qualified for Europe. So thinking on Europe for next season is still far ahead, but as things stand, we can be very confident that we are going to avoid relegation. Nice graph climbing up the table. In the last 5 games we have the best form of all the league, which is very pleasing to see. We're up there in the most goals from direct free kicks, the most penalties too, but not among the most goals from indirect free kicks. In the league individual stats, Ivan Hernandez is still among the 5 with most player of the match awards, and is the second with the most key tackles. But that last fact is not something good. It is something bad about the tactic, because most of those key tackles were forced because of the counter-attacks and the times he had to make last-ditch tackles to avoid a goal, which are circumstances that we don't want to see. Ideally, not so many times an opposition player should have been able to get in free space behind the defense to force him to make those key tackles he has had to do. A bit surprising, since he plays mostly as a ball-winning midfielder. Nacho Cases is the 4th player with the most key passes done. I would expect that to be more Mandy, who plays the deep line playmaker or the attacking midfielder. During this month we had a few times someone knocked out of the match and suffered everyone were short injuries. The longest was Kuma Babakar, who has going to be around 2 weeks and is past the half of the injury term with only 2 to 7 days left. And right now Alberto Lora is 1 to 2 days away from returning, which will not be the next month, which happens today. In general, we've been lucky with so few and light injuries in such a busy month like this. It was perhaps even a lucky thing that we lost the quarter-final of the Copa del Rey, since that competition is not our focus, and the semi-final were to be played this month, both matches, and would mean more lot of effort in coming months that will be a problem for our performance in the league. There's been one piece of business in the transfer market that I have not mentioned, and that is the loan signing of Alejandro Faurlin. So that family name sounds more French and would in that case be something like Forlin. But since I don't know that for sure, I will say Alejandro Faurlin as if that were Spanish. This is Sifakis, who's not really a great improvement over Ivan Cuellar. He has a little better anticipation and aggression, better jumping, but this was with decision making and command of area. A little better in reflexes, a little worse in positioning. More or less level with Ivan Cuellar. He's played so far the 3 matches that have been played after his signing, but he probably will share starts with Cuellar. And Alejandro Faurlin was recommended by my scouts, and I decided to sign him on loan because he would ask too much wages to be able to pay them, and I accepted it because he's good mentally and is decent enough defensively, unlike Sergio Alvarez, who's very weak defensively. And one of the possible troubles that we had been experiencing defensively was also little implication from one of the central midfielders, especially when that midfielder was Sergio Alvarez. He also scored in his debut to give us the victory against Espanyol. Another 2 bits in the transfer market has been that we've offered a new contract signed by Alex Serrano and another to Juan Muñiz, who had rejected a previous attempt during December and had become unhappy as a consequence of that. But now he is no longer unhappy. Roberto Canella is, however, because of team talks. He's not happy with them. Gregory and Ivan Hernandez, as well as Sergio Alvarez, were ending their contracts this season and have been offered contracts by other teams and will be leaving at the end of the season. One thing of note to say tactically about the past month is that other than the counter-attacking goal from against Jerez, because of the bad positioning of the goalkeeper that otherwise would have not been a goal, the chances on the counter-attack by other teams have been drastically reduced. Until this month, this month, each match had a minimum of 4 or 5 great chances in the counter attacks with long balls behind our defense, and it could be up to 10 or 11 chances like that. But this month, no more than once or twice has a player received a long ball behind our defense. Every other time, the fast centre backs have been able to cover and run back fast enough to negate any chance out of those occasions where the opposition would have tried long balls behind our defense. This next month has 5 matches against Deportivo, we should be able to win. Hércules is a team we should be winning. Atlético de Madrid we showed we can defeat during December in the Copa del Rey, and with a better centre back pair we should be able to defeat them again, so that will be a hard task. Then Valencia, who I don't expect much from there, and Barcelona to end the month. I don't expect anything from that either. That's all for today. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy.